Okay. There's lights on in my face, a microphone, cameras blinking. I get the feeling I'm supposed to be doing something right now. Welcome in. We got to let it breathe, though. Hang tight, y'all. Got to connect Facebook. And we have done just that. Welcome in. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast presented, as always, by Chad and Zach and Scott. Here we are. I'm joined by my co-host and partner in crime. You know him. You love him. Zack Kelberman. Zach, today the Denver Broncos shocked absolutely no one, but did get a nice little piece of business done in the books, out of the way. A massive 5-year extension for Russell Wilson. What was your gut reaction?
They shocked some people because some people have called the deal insane. Someone said they were worried, sick over. We went over this on the radio show today, Chad, but it's a landmark day for the Broncos. It's what'd you call it?
Watershed?
No, not watershed, tectonic moment in Broncos history. And it's a signal that the new Broncos era is officially here. Because not only did they pay their franchise quarterback, they had a franchise quarterback to pay. And it's another reminder that this is not the Trevor Siemian years, the Paxton Lynch years, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, yada, yada. The Broncos legitimately have a franchise quarterback. And better than that, George Paton got that franchise quarterback under contract on the most team-friendly deal as it was going to get with a quarterback like Russell Wilson's stature. We'll get into the nitty-gritty about it, Chad, but this is truly a win-win for both sides. Great day.
Yes, we shall. We shall get into the nitty-gritty, and I was excited to see it.
Wow.
Whoa, Top Rope Super Chat out of the gates.
Wow.
We got Gregory Vendeland throwing down a very, very generous Super Chat. And you know we appreciate that, Gregory. Seriously. You're helping to keep this content coming every single night for you, for everyone in the community, and for us. So thank you, big dog. It means a lot. On that topic, we might as well get to this like right away. You can see ticking below the top 5 finishers on Super Chat last month. All right. For those listening, the MHH Super Chat August final rankings. DWI guys, number 1. EJ, number 2. You're going, EJ, we'll explain. DW96734, Dale the Legend at number 3. Michaela at 4, the Duchess, and Greg at 5. Now, everyone knows Ethan, DWI guys. He throws down like crazy, but he's number 1 because of his super thanks contributions. Same with EJ being at number 2. So super thanks, if you're watching this after on demand when it's not live, it's just another way you can show support. You can super chat, even if we're not live, through super thanks on YouTube. And so that's what DWI guys, Ethan, that's what catapulted him to number 1 in August, and the same for EJ. Dale at 3, Michaela 4, Greg at 5. So we love you guys. We're going to do the drawing, the final drawing, because we got June, July, August in the books. Sunday night, we're going to do the drawing to figure out who we're rolling the red carpet out for, Zach, for the meet and greet on the YouTube side. Week 3, Broncos, Niners, and we'll do the same thing for Facebook. We'll list who finished first on Facebook here in just a moment. But much love and respect to Greg and everybody, not just our top 5 Super Chat superstars in the month of August, but everyone who has chipped in to help keep the lights on here.
Yeah, can't wait for that meet and greet as well. It's going to be super fun.
It's going to be awesome. Guys, make sure you are connecting with us on Twitter. You can see, let me get to some basics here real quick. You can see Zach on Twitter at Kelberman NFL, as you see on your screen, myself at Chad and Jensen. And also you're going to want to connect with our producer, Scott Kennedy at Scout Kennedy. Easy stuff to remember on Twitter. Also, guys, go to huddleuppod.com, get your swag on. So many great new designs. Easy, we fixed the pricing matrix, so it's as cheap as you'll find merch anywhere under the sun. And it helps keep the lights on here. It's another great way to support what we're doing. Don't forget to go leave your 5-star review at Apple Podcasts and enter into the opportunity to get a drawing. We're going to be doing that on Sunday as well. The Duchess throwing down as well. Top rope super chat.
Thank you, Michaela.
Michaela says, it's a great day in Broncos history. What do you make of the rumor that there was animosity between the Wilson camp and Broncos during the negotiations? I don't buy it. So, Michaela, love you. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. Zach, what have you heard on this?
I had actually not heard that rumor.
Me neither.
Everything I heard suggested that, negotiations took months dating back to March, dating back to when he was traded to the Broncos initially, but it's been pretty amicable from what I've heard between George Paton and Mark Rogers, Russell Wilson's agent. So that's surprising to me. I don't really buy it either.
Well, and especially Zach, like the bro fest that was going on today. I mean, that press conference, everyone was just loving each other up. Like it was, I did not sense any kind of issues bubbling under the surface or anything like that. So I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Michaela, if you can tell us the source of that rumor, let us know. That's interesting.
And thank you so much, Michaela.
Yeah.
Before we go any farther, tonight, love you. Seriously, love you. Looking forward to seeing you. And I know we will at the meet and greet. We got to say thank you. We got to say hello to the presenting sponsor of tonight's live stream podcast. And that is none other than my bookie. Because listen up. All right. When it comes to football, when it comes to betting, winning season has officially returned, and there are plenty of opportunities to win at MyBookie. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or a first timer, MyBookie gets you the most for your money with a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. It's simple. You follow the link in this show description and sign up using our promo code Wilson22 on your first deposit, and you'll instantly double your money with MyBookie, Zach.
Yeah, it really is simple, Broncos country. A $250 deposit, for example, puts $500 in your account, and you can use your funds to bet on as many individual games, contests, or props as you want. And the Broncos line pertaining to that, I'm sure it's moved, but I think it was at 4.5 in favor of the Broncos last I checked. But you can bet on team win totals, predict the Super Bowl winner, or use the MyBookie prop builder to give yourself the edge you need to secure the bag. Again, use code Wilson22 when you sign up and get double your deposit. Follow the link in the notes below and click join now. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
All right, let's get to some other super chats like Sam Bam waiting patiently. Appreciate you, big dog. He says, good evening, Chad, Zach, and Scott, and Broncos country. Very inclusive. Love it. He says, so glad we have Russ as our QB for the rest of this decade, at least through 2028. Sounds like this is a team-friendly contract. Is it, in your opinion? Go Broncos and let's ride. Zach, explain how this contract favors the Broncos from a dollars and cents perspective.
Because when you boil it down, it's basically a 4-year deal, and they have options beyond that. And the Broncos added on some dummy years to kind of make the deal look more official than it really is in actuality. Very similar to what they did with the Randy Gregory deal. If you boil it down, it's not really a 5-year contract. It's a 2-year contract. A lot of guaranteed money up front. Most came in the form of a signing bonus. The rest of it is to be earned over the course of the deal. But they lowered, the Broncos did, his salary cap number, $7 million this season, going from 24 to 17 million. And when you boil it down on a 4-year, I think it's 141 over 4. It averages 40.5. So it's a little different than the $50 million number that you're hearing through the media and through headlines. When you look at the nitty-gritty about it, the Broncos are paying Russell Wilson $40.5 million. That's all guaranteed. That's the bare minimum they're paying. But I think it comes out to the 8th best or the 8th highest total in terms of average value. And he's been called the 8th best quarterback in the NFL. So this is as team-friendly as it was going to get for Denver. Another feather in George Paton's cap, as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. Pterodactyl, thank you for the super sticker. It's great to see you, by the way. It's been a minute. Appreciate you. Nathan jumping in. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Super chat superstar. Nathan, what's going on, bro? How you been? We've missed you. He says the Bolts and Cincy. Oh, Peyton, big time for this deal, Zach.
I mean, I'm just happy that George Paton had the foresight to lock down Russell Wilson before Lamar Jackson got his deal, before Joe Burrow, before Justin Herbert. Those quarterbacks are going to make Aaron Rodgers' contract look like chump change. So it's similar to what George Paton did last year with Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick, getting ahead of the curve and re-signing players to multi-year extensions. But when you look down the road, even one season, those contracts seem very team-friendly. I'm just happy they locked him in now and did what's best for Russell Wilson, but more so did what's best for the Broncos and their long-term financial interest.
I would say, Zach, it's a small price to pay for literally the winningest starting quarterback in NFL history through his first 10 seasons. That's right. Russell Wilson has 113 total victories, 113 total skins on the wall in his first 10 years as a pro. No starting quarterback has won more games in their first 10 years. Zach, on top of that, all right, here's a little bonus value the Broncos get for their purchase today. Russell Wilson is also the only NFL player in history to pass for over 35,000 yards and rush for over 4,500 yards in his first decade in the league. So for those out there saying things like, oh, Broncos are jumping the gun, or Russ is washed, or wait till he's at least taking a snap at under center. Guys, this is the most reliable, and from a standings perspective, all right, this is the most reliable quarterback the Broncos could have hoped for, seriously. And then on top of that, the statistical output we'll get into. Don't trip on that. The Duchess says, I heard it on the fan. Okay, the rumor about there being acrimony. She says the deadline set by Wilson was last night at midnight or no deal. I wonder who specifically was reporting that, but I don't know how much I believe it, to be honest with you, because again, it was such a bro fest today. Like, everyone just loves each other at Broncos HQ, from George Payton loving Greg Penner loving Russell Wilson loving Nathan. I mean, it was all just big incestuous love fest. It didn't seem acrimonious. Now I get it, Zach, from a PR perspective, if there is anything kind of bubbling under the surface, these guys are pros. They're pretty good at keeping that buried, but I'm telling you, I don't think there's anything there. Not to say there weren't like, hey, well, this is when we would like to get it done, but acrimony, I don't know.
I love what George Payton said. He was thanking Greg Penner for his encouragement and his support. And he goes, of course, also the resources, meaning the money. It's great when your father-in-law is worth $70 billion. I wouldn't think Russell Wilson is like that, considering he didn't hamstring the Broncos. He didn't bend them over a barrel, even though he could have. We talked about this on the radio show today. I hammered this point home a lot because I think it needs reflecting upon. He is worthy of the contract that Deshaun Watson got, aka fully guaranteed. He took $65 million less in guarantees than Deshaun Watson got, but he didn't hold out for that. He didn't say it's my way or the highway. I want this money. I don't care about the salary cap. I don't care about player management, player personnel. I want what I want. So I don't think he would set an artificial deadline. I don't buy that rumor for 1 second.
Huero says, and thank you for the super chat, Big Dog. He says, I want Seth Williams back. I know he has options, though. Zach, what have you heard on that front? The Broncos waived him on Tuesday, was conspicuously not one of the players re-signed to the squad, and he went unclaimed on waivers.
He's the only receiver the Broncos didn't find a way to retain, even through the 53 of the practice squad. I heard he's not coming back. He has options elsewhere. I haven't heard he signed with anyone, but I'm sure he's negotiating or wants to with the team that gives him some better opportunity to see the field, see meaningful snaps. The Broncos are fine at receiver, and they moved on from a player that they already have in spades in Courtland Sutton.
I mean, if you put yourself in Seth's shoes, yeah, it's kind of the devil in terms of Broncos are your NFL comfort zone. It's all you've known since you were drafted as a 6th-round pick a year and a half ago. But you also have to recognize, if you're Seth Williams, Zach, the logjam in front of you. And barring some kind of catastrophic major bite of the injury bug that just like decimates the depth chart, you're going to be wanting for a long time. It would take quite a lot to finally get all the way down to a Seth Williams at number 5 or 6 on the depth chart to see some time. Hey, and by the way, Mac Dog's in the house. What's going on, Mac Dog?
You could argue the Broncos did Seth Williams a favor by not keeping him on the roster for the sake of keeping him and not letting him see the field. They're giving him an opportunity to find a better place to play and a better chance to see snaps. So I wish him well. The Broncos don't need him, though. Mac
Dog taking some of that hard-earned allowance coin, throwing down to support MHH. We appreciate you, brother. Seriously. Thanks, bud. Phil McLaughlin, also a legend, as we get to our great supporters on Facebook who also help this ball keep on spinning. You can see the way that August finished on the ticker below. Gary Leeds Palmer finished number 1. Mark Schrader, number 2. Phil, as you can see, number 3. Lawrence Rivera, number 4. Howie frickin' Day, number 5. So we will be doing the drawings for the MHH rollout meet and greet Sunday, the winner of the Facebook side of that coin. Gary says, GLP says, hey, Broncos country, go Broncos, let's ride. We're looking forward to seeing you in just a few weeks' time. I mean, it's going to be here before you know it, Zach.
Yeah, it's crazy how like we're literally 11 days away from week 1, 11 days away from seeing the newly minted Russell Wilson take on his former team that dumped him in Seattle on prime time. Can't wait for that game, man.
Jonathan Figueroa, another longtime bastion in our community, been with us since the very beginnings here on YouTube. It's great to see you, bro. We have missed you. Hope you've been well. Jay Fig says, George Paton continues to prove that he is the best GM in the league. And how about Wilson taking a team-friendly deal to make the Broncos more competitive? Absolute Manning vibes. Hashtag Let's Ride. I've been getting the Manning vibes for what it's worth since before this thing really even started, before it was official. But Peyton Manning only accepted a pay cut in his final season for what it's worth, or anything like remotely team friendly. When Peyton signed here as an unrestricted free, street free agent. When he signed here, 5 years, $96 million, Zach, that was top of the market QB money at the time in the spring of 2012. And then his final season, the fourth year on his 5-year deal, he didn't end up playing his fifth year. But on the beginning, Elway went to Peyton and said, "Hey, we need you to take less because we're trying to load the barrels here for you so we can make a run." And he accepted a $15 million, so $4 million less, but incentivized into his contract, Zach, was if you win the Super Bowl, you get all 19 million you were supposed to get back through incentives. And of course, he wins the freaking Super Bowl and gets every nickel that was owed to him.
Yeah, I love, a lot of things were said today during Wilson's press conference that announced the deal officially. The thing that stuck out to me was he said it's not necessarily how much, it's how many, meaning how many titles the Broncos are going to win over the course of that contract. So, yeah, he didn't, like I mentioned, he didn't hold out for a fully guaranteed contract. He didn't want to topple Aaron Rodgers' high water mark necessarily. He was okay with a team friendly deal. And when you talk about George Paton, and we devoted a whole segment to this on the radio show earlier today, Chad. What he's done in such a short time as Broncos general manager, completely turning around the franchise, making them respectable, if not a true legitimate Super Bowl contender. He hit on his first draft class initially, the people he's brought in as free agents, Chad, the overseeing of Nathaniel Hackett as head coach. He pulls off the blockbuster trade for Russell Wilson without surrendering 2 first round or more than 2 first round picks, without fully guaranteeing his contract. Hello, Cleveland. And then he secures that quarterback to a multi-year deal that's actually team friendly. So my only question to you, I'll pose it once more, is when are we building the statue for George Paton?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like everyone that wants to like just give some virtual bones to Peyton, like high five. I'm right there with you. But George Paton would be the first one to tell you, hey, wait till we win something before you congratulate me in full. Root him on, encourage him, but go out and win something. And Zach, again, the winningest quarterback in NFL history through his first 10 years. I'm not too worried about George Paton's team being able to go out there and give fans a little return on all this excitement and investment. 727 mil, what's good, bro? Thank you for the super chat. He says, Darrell Williams at right tackle, we need him. Let's ride, baby. Zach, what do you know about Darrell Williams?
Did he used to play for the Bills? Wasn't he a fixture there? I mean, is he still on the street? I don't know his status. I'm assuming he is if you're asking about him. He's been a little bit like a Billy Turner, though. Hurt, unreliable, not the best when he's in the starting lineup. They already have a Darrell Williams as far as I'm concerned. I would rather bring back Bobby Massey, even though I've heard people have screamed at me that it doesn't fit the scheme necessarily, but I don't think Calvin Anderson does or Cameron Fleming does as well. I would rather the Broncos ultimately, finally, for once, devote legitimate resources to that position. But here we are talking about Darrell Williams in the year 2022.
So he is available. For what it's worth, last year he played over 1,100 snaps, 6 penalties, which was tied for 19th at his position, which means like amongst. Well, how do you interpret that? The most or the fewest? I'm not sure. Sacks allowed, Zach. He allowed 4. His grade overall was actually in the green. It ain't easy, dude. Trust on Pro Football Focus to get a grade that is in the green section. So, you know what? I might be feeling this a little bit, honestly. I might be feeling Darrell Williams, but the Broncos don't seem to be too. I mean, they did sign that kid from. They did sign, and by the way, thanks, Mr. Producer. They did sign that kid from CU. What was his name? I'm brain farting his name. You had the article.
Yeah, I just want to pull up Billy Turner's if you could, because if the best we can do is 61.5 at right tackle, there's a serious problem. I don't know why they continue to use Band-Aids and duct tape at that position. His name is Will Sherman, former
Will
Colorado
Sherman.
tackle, play left and right tackle on the practice
Right.
squad. Hopefully he's better than Cameron Fleming or Calvin Anderson, but we shall see.
We shall see. I mean, really, when you look at this offense, that's the only thing that kind of jumps out to me, Zach, as a potential vulnerability is right tackle, just because, Russ is a veteran. And so if Billy Turner's healthy, I don't worry too much about him. It's not like Aaron Rodgers was constantly running for his life the last 3 years with Billy Turner helping to block for him. But is he healthy? I don't know. We'll find out.
It went from a simple knee issue that caused his release from Green Bay, but apparently Hackett signed off on that. Then he needed a knee scope in the offseason, and now they're just hopeful he'll practice in week 1. I mean, play in week 1, start in week 1. So it went, it's a kind of a skeptical timeline for Billy Turner, and there's nothing really behind him. My problem with him specifically, want to bog down the conversation at right tackle, we've seen Billy Turner. He literally played for the Broncos before a couple years ago, as it wasn't that long. He's a better guard, I feel like, than tackle. I just feel the Broncos can do better protecting their $296 million investment now in Russell Wilson. Muted, I think.
Key commands were not working. That was weird. Big Earn, thank you, buddy. Good to see you, bro. Appreciate you. Another longtime member of our community. Mike, also in the house. Michael Ronquillo, what's going on, bro? Yeah, let's move on to something more sexy than right tackle, because we're not going to know anything till Monday Night Football anyway, right? Like, it's been sight unseen. No, just trust us. He's going to be ready. Whatever. We'll let the chips fall when the time comes. But Zach, today, the statement that was released, obviously there was a nice little press conference after the news of Russ getting extended. But preceding that, there was a press release sent out to us, and there was a statement from Broncos owner / CEO, Greg Penner. And I just want to read a couple of lines from it, Zach, where he says, quote, "This is an exciting day for the Broncos and our fans as we announce a long-term commitment to Russell Wilson as our franchise quarterback. I want to commend George Paton and his staff for their hard work and diligence in reaching this agreement, which has been a top priority for our organization. In addition to being a terrific QB and winner, Russell is a dynamic leader whose positive impact is felt throughout our entire team and community," close quote. So, Zach, what I love here is them talking about, like, it's a long-term commitment, and he is our franchise quarterback. It's been so long since we've been able to hear anything remotely approaching franchise quarterback, associated with the Broncos.
I'm not going to lie. I like how aggressive Greg Penner has been in getting involved in the Broncos business since taking over as part owner with the Walton Penner Group. He's the one that's been I think the point man, considering he had the resources. A lot of Russell Wilson's contract was paid up front in the form of a signing bonus, liquid cash. And it helps when you have an owner worth $70 billion. So no surprise, Chad, it only took less than 3 months from Walton Penner's agreement to purchase the team to Russell Wilson putting pen to paper. It's good to have money.
Amen. Andrew Baker, what's going on, bro? He says, "This is a great deal, but is Russ at his peak, or can he get better?" Let me start off on this one, Zach, because it has been my humble opinion from the drop that he can get better. Because, I'll read a few things to you that should hammer home. You go, "Oh, winningest quarterback in his first 10 years ever." Yeah, but that was because of the defense. All right. How do you explain this then? All right. Russell Wilson is ranked, 10 years in the league. He's top 10 in the following statistical categories in those 10 years. Ready? Top 10 in touchdown passes. He's ranked second. Only one quarterback has thrown more touchdown passes over the last 10 years than Russ. Ranked fourth in completions, 4th in passing yards, 4th in passer rating, 9th in completion percentage. Now, that was on a team, gang, that was run the ball first and play defense. Run the ball. So a lot of that production, Zach, my point here being, was in spite of the organizational philosophy and impetus, not because of. Broncos, right out of the gates, telegraph, we're not going to make that same mistake. We're going to hashtag let Russ cook. We hired a young offensive-minded coach. Together, they're going to create an offense. This isn't just like Russell stepping in on Hackett's offense. We've heard them and other reports too, Zach, that have illustrated that they built this offense together. This whole enchilada is wrapped around Russell Wilson. So I think, to answer the question, there is more reason to believe that the best is yet to come from Russell Wilson than not.
Yeah, I don't think he's at his. I agree with this comment. I saw it and I want to highlight it from Nick D here. Nick says, if I can click it, I don't know why my mouse isn't working. Russ isn't at his athleticism peak, but his passing will never fall off. That's kind of how I feel when you're going on 34. He's not going to get any younger, obviously. I don't think his legs are going to get any sprier, but his natural ability, his intuition at quarterback won't fall off. He'll have that over the duration of his contract. So he's not at his peak, but he's not in a decline either, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, Father Time is undefeated. It's only a matter of time before the physical wherewithal begins to diminish. I believe that Russell Wilson, he might be, to use Nick's vernacular here, he might no longer be at the peak of his athleticism, but I mean, you watch those. I don't know if you probably don't have those stats up of what Russell produced post injury. Tell everybody, because the book on Russ from last year is, he's washed. He suffered that thumb injury or middle finger injury on his throwing hand, and then he never was quite the same. So the Broncos are getting some damaged goods. Hold on now, Zach.
Yeah, it was a mallet finger injury on his throwing hand, and that injury came with about a 6 to 8 week timetable. And Russell Wilson, being the competitor that he is, he returned about 3 weeks later, so half that time. He didn't play that well, but after that initial 6 to 8 week time span elapsed, and he was fully recovered, as he should have been, he finished the year with 11 touchdowns and 2 picks in 5 games. That's good for a cumulative rating of 103.7. So falling off, washed, I don't think so.
Word. By the way, before I forget it, as you guys can see on the ticker below, our top 5 finishers and supporters on Super Chat last month, the top 2 ranked. A big reason for that was their contributions on Super Thanks. Also wanted to give a shout out. It wasn't enough to put him anywhere in the top 5 overall, but shout out to Joel Katz, who finished 3rd amongst Super Thanks superstars. So appreciate that, Joel, if you're listening, buddy. Really, we do. Sam Bam, another great stud. Number 2 tonight, saying, are there any right tackles that got dropped on the waiver wire that the Broncos should give a look? And then who is Billy Turner's backup at right tackle? Was kind of hoping we'd give Alex Leatherwood a look to be the backup. He's bust, dude. Alex Leatherwood is like 10-foot pole. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't touch him even with a 10-foot pole. But what's your answer for anyone waived, etc.?
A literal turnstile is better than Leatherwood in pass protection. He is beyond brutal. And I think the Bears picked him up and they assumed Leatherwood's salary. I think it's like $6 million. So good luck to them. I did like Darius Phillips, but he got claimed on the waiver wire as well. There's really no one out there. And it's hard to find capable tackles. Look what the Cowboys are doing. After they lost Tyron Smith, probably for the year, they are working out and more than likely will sign 40-year-old Jason Peters to play left tackle. It's hard to find quality linemen. That's why I'll continue saying until they do, please use a high-round draft pick on a tackle. Please, George.
Just to further illustrate, I didn't realize I wasn't logged into PFF when we first looked at Darrell Williams. For what it's worth, 1,172 snaps last year, Zach. 778 were pass blocking snaps, 394 run blocking, 6 penalties, 4 sacks relinquished, 9 hits on the quarterback. Total pressures allowed 40. But look here, 500, only half of that production came at right tackle. So he is a guy that can swing inside, outside. amongst like available dudes, I honestly don't think for right tackle candidates, okay, the Broncos could find anyone more accomplished or with better ability to kind of come in and impact right away than Darrell Williams. But he's not much of a change up from Billy Turner if you get Billy Turner if he's healthy. So who's backing up Billy Turner to answer that? The two backup tackles on the roster, Calvin Anderson, Cam Fleming. And Zach, I don't think they like Calvin Anderson as a right tackle. I think if something, I'm knocking wood, if something happened to Billy Turner till Tom Compton comes back, who's on the pup, I think Cam Fleming would be the right tackle. What do you think?
I don't like Calvin Anderson as a tackle, period. He's really shown me nothing substantial. Cameron Fleming's a turnstile. He's a barely a holdover kind of guy. There's no one to get excited about. And when you're signing William Sherman, former Colorado tackle, it shows you how dire the position really is. And we're judging this conversation, Chad, about Turner and Williams based on the PFF metric, which we hammer all the time as being subjective. True. And you can't take it for all the salt in the world. So I guess he would be an upgrade based on that. 67.5 compared to 66.2 for Billy Turner. I would like someone in the 70s. That would be nice.
Well, and Darrell Williams, let me check his age. He's 30. So he's crossed over just barely yesterday. Actually, Zach was his birthday. So he's still young enough to probably give you some juice if push came to shove. But we always like to try and get at least one Twitch question per night. And this one comes from Savage Boy Kev. Appreciate you watching and participating in the conversation, buddy. He wants to know, Zach, what is this team's biggest question mark other than right tackle?
A few come to mind, all on defense. Defensive line, the depth there is questionable. I would prefer the Broncos add a vet just like they did in the secondary with Darius Phillips. Inside linebacker is a question mark because you have Josie Jewell, who is to me is not Luke Kuechly. Jonas Griffith is a good player to have. He's coming off an injury, and then it falls off after that. When you have Alex Singleton and Justin Sternad, I'm really disappointed that Joe Schobert didn't work out. And at quarterback, they only kept 5, which I thought was surprising. And they swapped one out today, Sang Bassi for Darius Phillips. I think it's an upgrade, but I think they're a little light there. So pretty much those spots on defense are question marks for me.
I'll take it. And by the way, another super from Mac Dog. Appreciate
Thank
that,
you.
big dog. Thank you. I'll take it in a little bit more intangible direction. My answer to that question, what concerns me or what's the biggest weakness? It's not so much weakness, Zach, or at least it hasn't revealed itself to be that yet, but it's just the overall novelty of this new coaching staff, meaning head coach in his position for the first time ever, all 3 coordinators in their respective positions for the first time ever. That's a lot of new and first time. Now, Russ is going to be the kind of Band-Aid, kind of bridging those issues. I think whatever growing pains come from those guys being in their respective positions for the first time, he's going to help microwave that, accelerate that trial and error curve. But we don't yet know for sure what the depths of that are going to be until we actually, because even in the preseason, Zach, we saw next to zero tactical schematic evidence of what these guys plan to do outside of their base looks. And we already knew what their base looks were going in. So by the quarter season point, I think we'll know for sure exactly what caliber coaching staff this really is when push came to shove. But that's the only thing. And I don't think it's something, Zach, that is so great that it's Russell can't overcome it and the talent on this team can't overcome it. But it's something that bears watching as we march through that first quarter of the season, I think.
I just was so encouraged about Hackett's offensive play calling. I was watching that specifically and closely during preseason, and I saw more boot action out of Brett Rippon than I saw all of last season under Pat Shurmur in that Vikings game last weekend. I saw, offensive philosophies rooted in the modern day NFL. Getting Montrell the ball, for example, one of your playmakers, what a concept. Look what it did. So the Broncos are in good hands offensively, especially with Russell Wilson at quarterback. But I also echo your sentiments. It's a very inexperienced and young coaching staff. Ejiro Evero being a first-timer, Dwayne Stuk stepping into that role as well. They have a lot of young coaches employed right now. So I want to see how it works out.
Shout out to Kyle Olson throwing down a super chat. Appreciate that, buddy. Connect with us on Twitter because we like to shout out our super chat superstars and supporters after each and every show. Drew Hollenbeck, a Mount Rushmore super chat superstar here. Stud. We love you.
Thank you,
we long for your presence, dude. Every single night we're like, where's Drew? No lie. It's great to have you, bro. He says, big day. Contract seems pretty team friendly, at least for the next few years. Zach?
Yeah, Drew's also holding it down on Twitter, man. He actually has common sense and fighting off some of these trolls and some of these salty Seahawks fans, man. I can't escape them from my mentions, but yeah, it is team friendly for a few years the way it's structured. He has relatively low cap figures, and it's going to be easier to take on when the TV contracts kick in and the salary cap goes up. It'll be chump change. Year 7, though, age 40 for Russell Wilson, his base salary is like $50 million. So that's why I think he's not going to see the duration of this deal one way or the other. They're going to renegotiate probably around year 4, year 5, if not sooner.
Mark Schrader, hey, bro, it's good to see you as well. Appreciate everything you do for all the podcasts here at MHH. So good to see you, big dog. Also, the Oi Boy, Chaos Josh in the house, my fellow brother in punk rock, my fellow brother in orange and blue, saying, evening priests, the season is finally here. Russ is signed and all is well for now. Outside of right tackle, I think we're going to hit the ground running. Let's ride. Hey, it's great to see you, bro. And you know what? If Billy Turner is healthy enough to really go week 1, right tackle might not be that gaping concern everyone has right now. It might end up just being lost in the shuffle, and he gives you, slightly above replacement level production. And Russell does his thing with that preternatural ability to sense pressure, whether it's from his blind side or his face side. He's a hard quarterback to sack, dude. And it's not just because of his athleticism and ability to kind of wiggle out of things. That dude, like all the true greats, Zach, has those eyes on the back and sides of his head, dude, that he can just sense when things are closing in. Like, I don't have any. Remember that hit Drew Lock took that cost him in 2020 in the Steelers game, where he kind of goes out, kind of drifts out
Eli
to the
Wilkinson
right.
blew a block, the right tackle.
Well, still, dude, like, have you ever seen? And I'm sure it's happened in all fairness, Zach, but have you ever seen Russell Wilson take that kind of a blindside hit where he just didn't see it coming? Nothing jumps out in my mind's eye. I'm sure it's happened. My point being here, though, is you don't need all pro caliber right tackle to get by with Russell Wilson as your quarterback. Just don't be a complete sieve and liability.
Yeah, don't forget, though, the Broncos don't want Russell Wilson scrambling all that much. They want to keep him in the pocket as much as possible, so you need your right tackle preferably to hold up and not get your quarterback drilled. It's why he wanted out of Seattle, because he was being hit and harassed too much to begin with. You said, how did you categorize Billy Turner's barely above average, sub-average play? Is that
barely above replacement
barely
level?
above
like
replacement level? Is that really what we are celebrating? Is there a possibility we're overrating Billy Turner just a little bit? Is that at all possible? Recency bias.
I don't think you and I are overrating him. I think the Broncos might be overrating him.
Sure.
Like, in Sharpie, like, goes without saying, fait accompli starter at right tackle. Billy Turner didn't have to compete for squizot. Nothing. No, he didn't have to compete for anything. He was just, are you taking breaths? Do you have a heartbeat? You're the starter at right tackle. Now, maybe that's because, Zach, Nathaniel Hackett, by virtue of his last 3 years with Billy, knows things we don't know relative to his scheme and fit and all that stuff. So maybe we should give him some benefit of the doubt in that sense. But I feel you. Mike, thank you for the stars, bro. He says, what are y'all's thoughts on the cornerback signing from Cincinnati? Zach, you had the article for us, so break it down.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of Essang Bassey at all. I thought maybe Jaquan McMillian can take his spot on the 53. That didn't happen, but Essang Bassey was waived today in favor of Darius Phillips, who I really like a lot as a sneaky back end of the roster upgrade, because he's better in coverage. He's more of a ball hawk than Essang Bassey. He can play inside or outside considering his build, but he's also a really good special teamer. And this is another win for Dwayne Stukes. He has, I think it was 50 kick and punt returns over the course of his career. He also handled those duties in college at Western Michigan, where he was a two-time special teams player of the year, MAC special teams player of the year. So as your cornerback 5, I feel like it's a massive upgrade for what that's worth over Essang Bassey.
5'10", 190 pounds. Yeah, I'm excited about it as depth. That was something you and I lamented the last time we were on this podcast was, hey, you got a pretty impressive starting trio. If you can stave off the injury bug, if you need to turn to your depth right now with OJ Mudia, who, even if he was healthy, is nothing to write home about. Damari Mathis and Nisang Bassi, and then McMillian on the practice squad or whatever. You need one more proven guy with a little bit of bona fides. Like, it doesn't have to be top level, free agent signing, but a guy that has some live bullet experience, and they took care of that. They checked that box. Dave from Georgia, what's good, bro? Thank you for the super chat. One of our great superstars of he says, we need to keep our speed guys healthy. # let's ride. Broncos have some speed on that offense, baby. Like, just Jerry Jeudy, sub 4.5, of course. KJ Hamler, sub. Montreal Washington, sub. Jalen Virgil, don't sleep on him and his speed, man. For an offense that has a quarterback that likes to go long, baby, they've got every, I think, conceivable arrow you would need in the quiver to make that happen.
In terms of cornerback, I want to just say I would be more comfortable if they even added one more. I think 5 is a little light in a passing league, especially in the AFC West. What was the top? I forgot what we were just talking about. I was too busy.
We're talking about the speed on this.
Oh, that's right. I was
receiver core.
I was going to say Albert O, being a former receiver, and he's pretty much a receiver trapped in a tight end's body. That's another speedy weapon. Melvin Gordon being the pass catching back that he is, that's another weapon. You can open up this offense in so many ways, and I can't wait to see Hackett do it.
Opethian saying, one of our just most ardent listeners, commenters, love you, big dog. He says, Jawan James vibes from Billy Turner. Has it reached that level for you yet, Zach?
I'm not hearing any farting coming out of Dove Valley at right tackle, so he couldn't be Juwan James yet. If he doesn't play through an injury that he can come back from, I would declare him Juwan James, but he's not there quite yet.
Yes, he's even if he ends up being Juwan James vibes, all right, cheap relative to the cost of those vibes that Juwan James handed to the Broncos. Ben Wallman with some stars throwing down. Let's ride. Yes, indeed, brother. It's going to be a fun season, isn't it? I mean, just think right now, Zach, the exuberance we have felt in the chat tonight, just from a really positive, warm and fuzzy kind of development happening today, and Russell getting extended. He's going to be here long term. Imagine what it's going to be like in these chats. Miguel, what's up, bro? Thank you. It's great to see you, my friend. Thank you for everything. Imagine what the energy is going to be like, Zach, when Russ starts stacking those dubs, man, on our gut reaction pods after each game and the aftermath. It's going to be so much fun covering this season.
I mean, the build-up to week 1 is insane. Take away the fact it's a revenge game. I mean, he's coming off a massive contract, and he hasn't played a snap yet. He was mothballed off preseason, so it's like his first snap in a Broncos uniform. The stakes could not be higher. I cannot wait to see y'all on the night of September 12th after the Broncos rout Seattle in front of their salty fan base.
Travis Weber, what's up, bro? Appreciate you. It's great to see you. He says, I'm ready to ride. Let's go Broncos. And he says, let's go Utes on Saturday. Utes going against the Gators in the swamp. Okay. Yeah. A rally around the Rocky Mountain teams. Eric Weber, what's going on, bro? Appreciate the stars, my friend. He says, what's up, priests? Good day in Broncos country. I'm loving Peyton's efforts. Here's to hoping we can stay healthy and he can just tinker with the roster as needed and continue building for the future. Amen, bro. From your lips to the ears of the football gods. So be it.
There's nothing more you can, demand out of George Payton. He did not fulfill in his 2 years on the job. He's really done everything except win.
Amen. AKA, so be it. Corey H., what's going on, dude? Another great Super Chat superstar. So many of our legendary members of our community, the lore dripping from tonight's live stream podcast. I love it. Corey's got some lore. He says, this is so much about having deep pockets and new solid ownership. What a change compared to the last few years. Let's get this thing going. Go Broncos. Yes, sir. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Cash on hand, no longer a problem. No longer even an issue for your Denver Broncos.
It's nice when your owner is like worth the next 5 or 6 owners combined, as it were, with Rob Walton. It's nice to have liquid cash on hand. And it's also nice having a franchise quarterback that puts the team first and puts winning first and not his pocketbook. It's nice having a franchise quarterback to actually pay. This is a new day in Broncos country, a landmark day, and I'm very happy about it.
We are at 45 minutes, so we're about out of time. Any burning topics, get them in the chat. And you know what? Also, curious what everyone's plans are this weekend. You got a 3-day weekend for Labor Day. We hope any of you who travel in my neck of the woods, all right, you go out, you go up the mountains, you know, take your boat out on the lake, or you hike, or you fish, or you camp, or you. That's what most people do on Labor Day. So those of you who are doing any traveling this weekend, just get there safe and sound, so we can look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. Zach, you got any big plans for this weekend before we dip on out?
No, my plan right now is to address this by the best named super I've seen tonight, or comment I've seen tonight. Zach Vignolo says Mike Boone, RB number 3, in my opinion, should be our running back number 2. He looked quick and fast, elusive. I know Zach agrees with me on that. LOL. Yeah, and Zach, I hope more people are coming around to Mike Boone after watching what he did in the preseason. He really is so shifty, and he brings an element to the backfield that, to me, neither Melvin Gordon nor Javonte Williams can replicate. He just has that acceleration, that burst, and I hope he gets some carries on offense.
I think he will. First of all, last season that coaching staff, they were just moronical. But I think a big reason why you hardly saw anything from him, even after he returned from injury, was he was injured to start the season. And I mean, they just weren't smart coaches. I think Mike Boone, especially, we know how much Nathaniel Hackett is a proponent of the running back by committee ethos, and specifically within the RBBC, it's about riding the hot hand. So I think Javonte Williams is going to be this team's workhorse by and large, but you would just have to be not smart, Zach, to not figure out how to utilize Mike Boone in this scheme. It would be to your detriment. He's out there waiting for you. It's like Glengarry Glen Ross. Have you ever seen that movie with many a great actor, including Pacino and whatnot? And there's this epic scene with Alec Baldwin, and he's grilling the salesmen who just aren't doing a good job selling. And he's in their face, and he's hurling epithets at them. And he goes, "They're out there waiting to give you their money. Are you man enough to take it?" He's like razzing them a little bit. Mike Boone, he's sitting there waiting to give you some production. Are you man enough to capitalize? That's my question to these Denver Broncos.
I think if Nathaniel Hackett's the man we believe he is, he'll find a way to get his RB3 some touches. If he gets his wide receiver 5 the ball, like Montrell Williams' case, he can get his RB3 a few carries. And I agree with what Jamie said in the comments. A few wheel routes for Mike Boone out of the backfield with the weapons they already have on offense, how do you defend that? You can't.
Peter, Geiger Gaming in the house from down under. Great to see you, my friend. He says, finally catching a live stream. I'm so excited for this season. New ownership. So far, good GM and a proven quarterback. Let's go. Let's ride. Appreciate that, Pete. It's great to see you, buddy.
Let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. We're going to hear that constantly. And people are actually making it a thing now. Every other major team seems to be doing that, either in an ironic or unironic way. So laughs on them.
For what it's worth, I've never been much of a country music fan. All right. Over time, it started growing on me because the woman I married, she's like way into country music and whatnot. Not the lame pop stuff you hear on the radio, but like, older Garth Brooks, Garth Knight. Sorry, dude, this triggered an anecdote. Bear with me. She convinced me to go to a Garth Brooks concert. Oh, here about 4 or 5 years ago. And let me tell you something, Zach. That SOB played for 3 hours, dude. I'm like looking at my watch, ready to bounce like an hour in. I'm thinking, anyone who's been to a show, hour and a half tops. No. This dude sold out an arena and then played to that arena for 3 freaking hours. And even though I'm not into that music, I had to give the man his props. Garth Knight, thank you, dude, for that super chat. It's great to see you. You've really been showing some consistency on super chat lately, and we appreciate that. He says, by the way, it's nice to pay a quarterback who you don't have to worry about studying game film, Zach?
A little Kyler Murray joke. I can't believe the Cardinals bowed to the public pressure. I thought they were within their rights to stipulate that, and it's more on Kyler. Everyone's like ignoring the fact that Kyler Murray needed that in his contract to begin with. He'd rather play Call of Duty and Fortnite than actually study the playbook. So yeah, I mean, you can call Russell Wilson a robot, you can call him corny, whatever, make fun of him saying "let's ride." He loves with a capital L football, and that's the number one thing I want for my franchise guy.
On that subject, it was actually funny today. I can't remember to give credit who asked it. I think it might have been Mike Kliss. I can't remember, but said, did you include a clause in this contract that mandates Russell Wilson not study for 4 hours a week because he should take a break because he's obsessed with football? And it was a nice little moment of levity for George Payton and the dudes there. Darius Simmons, probably our last super chat of the night because we got to get going. He says, what's up, Chad and Zach? How many tutties do you think Russ will throw against the Seahawks? And how many interceptions do we get against Geno Smith? I wish it was Locke. LOL. Glad to catch y'all live. Thank you, Darius. It's good to see you, bro. Appreciate the support.
It might be Drew Lock. Geno isn't the most durable quarterback or built quarterback. He's pretty slender. So if the Broncos hit him enough times, I'm not advocating for it to happen, but you might see Drew Lock in that game, or if Geno implodes like Geno Smith tends to do. In terms of how many touchdowns, I'm going to keep it realistic. I could say 4 or 5. I'll say 2 because the Broncos will get 2 on the ground with Javonte and Melvin Gordon as well. It's going to be a well-rounded 28-13 victory for the Broncos.
Ooh, I love it. Damian Clark Warren, another longtime member of this community, jumping in 11th hour super chat. Appreciate that, Damian. He says, hey, fellas, long time, but not too excited because of the hole at right tackle. Well, I wouldn't say it's a hole quite yet. Now, if Billy Turner ends up like constantly not quite being healthy enough, or they trot him out there, and like the previous comment about, from Opethian about getting Juwan James vibes, if it ends up tracking that way once we're in the regular season, then I'll be right there with you, Damian, calling it a hole. But Nathaniel Hackett seems to be pretty confident that Billy Turner is not only going to be available, A, but B, that he's good enough to just be fait accompli right tackle. He's the only guy outside of Russell Wilson and maybe Cortland Sutton, Zach, on that offense, maybe Garrett Bowles, who did not have to compete at all for their job. They didn't even have to justify it, like in the case of Turner.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a hole, but I'd say it's like a sheet that's taped over a shattered window. It's barely going to get you by. And you consider it in context with the rest of the OL. Garrett Bowles, younger player. Dalton Reisner, younger player. These are foundational guys. Lloyd Cushenberry, younger player. Quinn Miners, younger player. And it just seems like the Broncos have this rotating veteran retread cast of right tackles. Maybe Billy Turner is the answer, but everything I've seen, everything I know about him, and everything he's proven to be, which is right now an injury liability, doesn't point in that direction.
Well said, my friend. Let's dip on out of here, huh? I'll get the shout-outs ready to go.
Note, yeah, it's always the right tackle ending on that. That was, though, the MHH pod, the Mile High Huddle pod. You can follow us on Twitter at the MHH pod. You can follow Chad on Twitter at Chad and Jensen, myself, Kelberman NFL, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and of course, the main account for all your Broncos needs at Mile High Huddle. Be sure, if you haven't, go to huddleuppod.com and get yourself some sexy swag like you see Chad and I rocking. I promise you it's well worth the investment, worth your time checking out huddleuppod.com and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Like that page, follow that page. And if you haven't, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every month. But as you see ticking below you, please, it's imperative, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Shout out to these great supporters on Facebook tonight: Gary Leeds Palmer, Phil McLaughlin, Eric Weber, Andrew Baker, Ben Wallman, Mike Reno, Travis Weber, and Miguel Santistevan. On YouTube, our great Super Chat superstars, starting with the Duchess Michaela, Sam Bam, Gregory Vendeland, Mr. Esoterodactyl, Nathan Huero, Mac Dog in the house, J Fig 727 Mill, Kyle Olson. We got Drew, Oi Boy Josh. We got Dave from Georgia, Corey H, Pete aka Geiger Gaming, Garth Knight, Darius Simmons, and Damian Clark Warren. Much love and respect. We'll see you Sunday night, and sorry, something stuck in my tongue. Anyway, we'll do the announcement for the winner for the meet and greet on YouTube and Facebook. It's going to be dope.
Have a great weekend, great holiday weekend. Stay safe, take care, and as always, go Broncos.